Have you ever felt it? That searing sting when your words are twisted into weapons against you? That fire in your chest when your integrity is silently put on trial? Have you ever laid awake at night, replaying a conversation in your mind, hunting for the perfect sequence of words you should have said to finally make them understand? Do you feel tired? A bone-deep exhaustion from being constantly misread, from the reflexive need to react, from the endless feeling that you are perpetually defending your own character? If the answer is yes, know that this feeling is not an accident. It is the result of a lifetime of social conditioning, a training that has taught us all to do one thing: to react, to explain, to justify our very existence. And without a second thought, you do what you were trained to do. You defend, you explain, you desperately try to make them see. But here is the brutal truth no one has ever told you, the secret that holds the key to your freedom. Every single time you do this, every time you scramble to justify yourself, you willingly surrender your most powerful weapon. You hand over your peace, you hand over your presence, you hand over your power. But what if the solution to this pain wasn't in finding the right words? What if I told you that the strongest, most dominant, and most respected move you can possibly make is to say absolutely nothing at all? This is not a passive philosophy. This is a strategy of power. The Stoic philosophers warned us not to be ruled by the opinions of others. They knew that the refusal to defend yourself is your greatest defense. Stay with me, because the philosophy we are about to explore will not just bring you peace. It will fundamentally change the way you carry yourself into every room, every conversation, and every challenge that comes your way. We are going to learn how to become unshakable. We are going to learn how to become untouchable. So I ask you, are you content with the person you are today, the one who reacts, who explains, who bleeds power? If the answer truly disturbs you, if you feel in your soul that you were born to be more solid, calmer, and more in command of yourself, then you know what to do. If not, if the comfort of being validated is more important than your own power, you can keep deceiving yourself. Part 1. The anatomy of the trap of explanation. Before we can build the fortress of the Stoic mind, we must first understand the terrain of our own psychology. The urge to explain ourselves is not a simple character flaw. It is a deeply ingrained instinct, a piece of social software that has been running in humanity for millennia. To dismantle it, we must first respect its origins and understand the powerful forces that compel us to speak when silence would serve us better. 1.1. The ancient fear, the terror of ostracism. For our ancient ancestors, belonging to the tribe was not a matter of social comfort. It was a matter of life and death. To be misunderstood, to be seen as untrustworthy or defiant, was to risk ostracism. And to be cast out from the group meant near certain death, left to the mercy of predators and the elements. This ancient terror is encoded in our DNA. When we are misjudged today, we are not facing a physical predator, but our nervous system doesn't always know the difference. The perceived threat of social rejection triggers a primal fight or flight response. The fight is our desperate attempt to argue, to explain, to force the other person to see our truth. We believe that if we can just correct their perception, we can restore our place in the tribe and neutralize the threat. We are, in essence, trying to appease a ghost, the ancient ghost of exile that haunts our social interactions. The Stoics were radical because they taught that one's primary tribe, the only one that truly mattered, was the tribe of rational, virtuous souls, and that one's truest home was the inner citadel of one's own mind. They taught that being a good person was more important than being seen as a good person, a revolutionary concept that directly confronts this ancient fear. 1.2. The ego's plea, the addiction to being right. Beyond the primal fear of rejection lies a more personal and insidious force, the ego. The ego is the part of our consciousness that identifies with our story, our achievements, our reputation. It is the part of us that desperately wants to be seen as intelligent, competent, and above all, right, when someone challenges our actions or motives, they are not just questioning a fact, they are attacking the very structure of our ego. The ego's response is swift and fierce. It screams for justification. It believes that its survival depends on winning the argument, on correcting the record, on proving its own narrative. To remain silent in the face of accusation is, to the ego, a form of death. It feels like an admission of guilt or powerlessness. This is why it is so difficult. The Stoics understood the ego, though they might have called it by different names. They taught the practice of separating the self from the fleeting attachments of reputation and praise. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that the praise of the crowd was nothing more than the clacking of tongues. By understanding that you are not your reputation, that you are not the opinion of others, you can begin to detach from the ego's desperate pleas. You can observe its panic without being controlled by it. You can let it scream for an explanation, while your rational mind, the Stoic ruling faculty, chooses the strategic calm of silence. 1.3. The cognitive cost, the energy drain of rumination. Consider the mental energy you expend after a single, frustrating interaction where you felt misunderstood. The battle doesn't end when the conversation is over. In fact, it has just begun. You go home, and your mind continues to fight. This is rumination. You replay the scene again and again, editing your dialogue, crafting the perfect comeback you should have used. You analyze the other person's words, their tone, their body language, searching for hidden meanings. This is an immense waste of your most precious resource, your cognitive energy. The Stoics viewed attention as a sacred resource. Where you direct your attention determines the quality of your life. Seneca wrote that we should be as careful with our time and mental energy as we are with our money, because they are finite. Every moment you spend ruminating about what someone else thinks of you is a moment you are not spending on your work, on your relationships, on your own self-improvement. It is a cognitive tax you pay for the privilege of caring too much about externals. Choosing not to explain is not just a power move in the moment. It is a long-term strategy for conserving your mental and emotional resources. It is a declaration that your attention is too valuable to be squandered on unwinnable battles fought inside your own head. It is the ultimate act of mental decluttering, freeing up vast reserves of energy to be deployed on things that truly matter. Part 2. The arsenal of the unshakable mind. To consistently choose silence over the instinct to explain requires more than just willpower. It requires a set of mental tools, an arsenal of principles and techniques that can be deployed in the heat of the moment. Stoicism is not a passive philosophy of endurance. It is an active system of training for the mind. Let us explore some of the most powerful weapons in the Stoic arsenal. 2.1. The Dichotomy of Control, the ultimate weapon. We touched upon this earlier, but its importance cannot be overstated. The dichotomy of control is the foundational weapon of the Stoic. It is the lens through which every situation must be viewed. Let's make it intensely practical. When you are faced with an accusation, you must mentally perform a triage, sorting every element of the situation into one of two boxes: things I control and things I do not control. What does the other person think of you? Box 2. What did they just say? Box 2. Will they listen to your explanation? Box 2. The potential damage to your reputation? Box 2. Now what is in box 1? Only a few, but infinitely powerful things. Your judgment about what just happened, your choice of how to respond, the integrity with which you conduct yourself, your decision to maintain your inner peace. The untrained mind focuses all its energy on the overflowing, chaotic, and uncontrollable elements of box 2. It's a recipe for frustration and anxiety. The Stoic practitioner consciously and deliberately withdraws all of their energy and attention from box 2 and focuses it with laser-like intensity on box 1. They don't waste a single joule of energy on trying to change the other person's mind. Instead, they ask themselves, given this situation that I do not control, what is the most virtuous and rational choice that is within my control? More often than not, the answer is to maintain one's composure, to refuse to be disturbed, and to choose a strategic, dignified silence. 2.2. The view from above, shrinking the problem to its true size. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, was plagued by court intrigue, betrayals, and the immense stress of managing an empire at war. One of his favorite meditative exercises was what is now called the view from above. He would practice zooming out from his immediate situation, visualizing himself and his problems from a cosmic perspective. Try this now. Imagine the situation that is causing you distress, the person who misunderstood you, the unfair criticism. Now, in your mind's eye, float up above your body. See yourself in the room, then float higher, seeing the building, the street, the city. Go higher still, until you see your country as a patch of color on the globe. Higher, until the earth itself is a beautiful, silent blue marble suspended in the vast velvet blackness of space. From this vantage point, where is the conflict? Where is the person who insulted you? Where is their opinion? They have vanished into utter insignificance. The problem that seemed so all-consuming moments ago is now less than a speck of dust on a speck of dust. This is not an exercise in belittling your problems. It is an exercise in perspective. It reminds you of the immense scale of existence and the briefness of our lives. It recalibrates your emotional response. From this cosmic viewpoint, is it truly worth sacrificing your inner peace, your precious and finite moments of life, over the fleeting opinion of one other person? The view from above doesn't solve the problem, but it dissolves the emotional charge around it, making it far easier to choose a rational and composed response. 2.3. Amor fati. Embracing misunderstanding as training. This is perhaps the most advanced and powerful tool in the arsenal. While many philosophies teach endurance or acceptance, Stoicism, in its highest form, aligns with Nietzsche's concept of amor fati, the love of one's fate. This principle asks you not just to tolerate what happens, but to embrace it, to love it, to see it as essential and necessary for your own growth. How does this apply to being misjudged? The beginner Stoic might endure the insult silently. The intermediate Stoic might accept it as an external they cannot control. But the master, practicing amor fati, welcomes it. In their mind, they say, excellent. Another opportunity to practice my resilience. Another chance to test the strength of my inner citadel. Thank you to the universe for providing me with this workout for my soul. I would not have it any other way, because this experience is precisely what I need to become stronger, calmer, and wiser. This shifts the entire dynamic from one of victimhood to one of proactive spiritual athleticism. You are no longer a target, you are a student in life's gymnasium. Every insult is a dumbbell, every misjudgment a lap on the track. When you can genuinely embrace misunderstanding as a necessary and welcome part of your training, the need to explain yourself becomes absurd. Why would you explain away your training session? You would be cheating yourself of the very resistance that makes you strong. Part 3. The Lives of the Masters. Stoicism in action. Philosophy can seem abstract until we see it embodied in human lives. The principles of Stoicism were not developed in quiet libraries. They were forged in the crucible of Roman politics, in the barracks of war, and under the lash of slavery. To truly understand the power of non-explanation, let us look to the lives of the masters. 3.1. Cato the Younger, the unbending man. Cato, The younger was a Roman statesman and a Stoic paragon, a man so famous for his unshakable integrity that he became a legend in his own time. He was a constant political opponent of Julius Caesar, and as such, he faced a relentless barrage of public insults, political schemes, and humiliation. On one occasion, while Cato was pleading a case, his opponent, Lentulus, spat in his face. A modern person would react with shock, anger, and outrage. The room held its breath. Cato did not react. He simply wiped the spittle from his face and continued his speech as if nothing had happened, saying only, "I will swear to anyone, Lentulus, that people are mistaken when they say you cannot use your mouth." His refusal to be emotionally hijacked, his complete command over his response, did more damage to Lentulus's reputation than any angry outburst ever could have. He showed everyone in the room that Lentulus's actions were beneath his consideration. He didn't need to explain that he was above such pettiness. His composure was the entire explanation. Cato's life was a testament to the idea that a man's character is his truest defense, and it needs no verbal supplement. 3.2. Seneca in the Court of Madness. Seneca the Younger, one of the most prolific Stoic writers, had the unenviable task of being the tutor and advisor to the tyrannical Emperor Nero. He lived every day in a viper's nest of paranoia, where a single wrong word could mean a death sentence. Seneca's survival for so many years depended not just on his wisdom, but on his mastery of strategic communication, which often meant strategic silence. He had to navigate a world where explaining his motives could be twisted into a confession of conspiracy. Defending an action could be interpreted as a challenge to Nero's authority. In this environment, silence was not just a philosophical choice, it was a survival tool. Seneca had to let his actions and his established reputation for wisdom speak for him, because words were too dangerous a currency. His life demonstrates a critical nuance. The choice not to explain is often the wisest course in environments dominated by irrationality and bad faith. Trying to reason with an unreasonable person is a fool's errand. A dignified silence preserves your energy, and in Seneca's case, his life. 3.3. Epictetus, the freest man in Rome. Perhaps the most powerful embodiment of these principles is Epictetus. He was born a slave in the Roman Empire. His body was owned by another man. He was subjected to physical abuse. Legend has it his master broke his leg out of cruelty. He possessed nothing. By all external measures, he was the most powerless of men. And yet, through his embrace of Stoicism, he became what many considered the freest man in Rome. How? Epictetus understood the dichotomy of control on a level most of us can barely fathom. He realized that while his master controlled his body, his food, and his physical freedom, he had absolutely no power over Epictetus's inner world, his judgments, his choices, his will. This was his kingdom, and he was its absolute sovereign. When his master would threaten him, Epictetus would calmly recognize that the threat was an external, unable to touch his true self. He didn't need to explain his inner freedom. He simply lived it. His example is the ultimate refutation of the idea that our circumstances define our peace. If a man in chains can possess an unshakable inner tranquility by refusing to let his master's actions dictate his inner state, how much more so can we, in our relatively comfortable lives, learn to be unmoved by the mere opinions of others? Part 4. The Practical Stoics Toolkit. Daily Training. A philosophy is useless if it remains in the realm of theory. The Stoics were eminently practical. They believed in daily training, a kind of spiritual gymnastics to strengthen the soul. Forging the ability to remain silent under pressure is not a passive wish. It is an active skill built through consistent practice. Here are some exercises you can incorporate into your daily life. 4.1. The Philosophical Journal, your nightly review. This is the cornerstone of Stoic practice, famously exemplified by Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. At the end of each day, take a few minutes with a journal and conduct a simple review. Ask yourself 3 questions. What did I do wrong today? This is not about self-flagellation, it's about honest assessment. Where did I act out of anger, fear, or a desire for validation? When did I feel the urge to explain myself unnecessarily? What did I do right? Where did I act according to my values? When was I tempted to react, but chose composure instead? Acknowledge these victories, no matter how small. What could I do better tomorrow? Based on today's review, what is one specific intention I can set for tomorrow? Perhaps it's to take a deep breath before responding in a meeting, or to simply let a minor slight from a family member go without comment. This practice of self-reflection brings awareness to your automatic reactions. It allows you to track your progress and consciously design your character. Over time, you will begin to see the patterns in your own behavior, making it easier to catch the justification reflex before it takes control. 4.2. The practice of voluntary discomfort. The Stoics believed that a person who is accustomed to comfort becomes fragile. Their soul softens, and they become easily disturbed by hardship. To counteract this, they practiced voluntary discomfort. This could be as simple as taking a cold shower, eating a very plain meal for a day, or sleeping on the floor instead of your comfortable bed. What does this have to do with not explaining yourself? Everything. The urge to explain comes from the discomfort of being misunderstood. It's an unpleasant feeling, and we rush to alleviate it. By deliberately exposing yourself to minor, controlled physical discomforts, you increase your overall tolerance for unpleasant sensations. You are training your mind to endure hardship without panicking. When you know you can handle a cold shower, the discomfort of someone's negative opinion seems far less threatening. You are building calluses on your soul, making you less sensitive to the petty slings and arrows of daily social life. 4.3. The memento mori, the ultimate perspective shift. One of the most profound Stoic practices is memento mori. Remember, you will die. The Stoics kept human skulls on their desks not to be morbid, but to be reminded of the preciousness and brevity of life. Contemplating your own mortality is the ultimate tool for perspective. When you are caught in a moment of feeling misjudged, pause and practice memento mori. Remind yourself, I have a finite number of breaths left in my lungs. My time on this earth is a brief spark. Is this argument, this need to correct this one person's opinion, truly the best use of this irreplaceable moment of my life? The answer will almost always be a resounding no. Placed against the vast backdrop of your own mortality, the opinions of others shrink to their proper, insignificant size. You realize that your energy is better spent on love, on your work, on your purpose, on being present with those who matter. This practice doesn't make you sad, it makes you focused. It clarifies your priorities and makes it infinitely easier to let go of the trivial dramas that once consumed you. Part 5. The unspoken language, the physiology of composure. The silence we advocate for is not merely the absence of sound. It is a powerful, non-verbal statement. And for that statement to be one of strength rather than fear, it must be supported by your physiology. Your body speaks a language louder than words, and it must be congruent with your inner resolve. Let us explore the physical components of commanded silence. 5.1. The anchor of the breath. When faced with a perceived social threat, the first thing to go is the breath. It becomes shallow, rapid, held high in the chest. This is the signature of the fight or flight response, sending signals of panic to your brain. The Stoic practitioner must first become the master of their own breathing. The technique is simple but profound. When you feel the urge to react, first anchor yourself to your breath. Take a slow, deep inhalation through your nose, not into your chest, but deep into your belly. Feel your abdomen expand. Hold it for a count of 4. Then exhale slowly and completely through your mouth for a count longer than your inhale, perhaps a count of 6. Repeat this 3 times. This is not just a calming technique, it is a physiological override. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's rest and digest system. It sends a clear signal to your brain. There is no real threat here. We are safe. We are in control. Mastering your breath is the prerequisite for mastering your response. A calm breath cannot coexist with a panicked mind. 5.2. The gaze of a sovereign. The eyes are the windows to the soul, and in a moment of silent confrontation, they are your primary tool of communication. Fearful silence is characterized by averted eyes, looking down, looking away. This signals submission and shame. Commanded silence, however, is maintained with a steady, calm, and direct gaze. You do not need to stare aggressively. This is not a contest of intimidation. Rather, you hold the other person's gaze with a neutral, observant curiosity. Your eyes should say, "I am here, I am present, I am listening to what you are saying, but I am not disturbed by it." This unwavering eye contact prevents the other person from dominating the space. It communicates that you are not afraid, that you are not ashamed, and that you are an equal participant in the interaction, even if you are not speaking. It creates a powerful loop. Your calm gaze reinforces your own inner calm, which in turn makes it easier to maintain the steady gaze. It is a practice of visual and mental fortitude. 5.3. The posture of a mountain. Finally, consider your physical posture. A person reacting out of fear or insecurity tends to shrink. Their shoulders hunch forward. They might cross their arms defensively. They make themselves physically smaller, as if to avoid a blow. This posture broadcasts weakness. The Stoic, in their silence, cultivates the posture of a mountain. Your feet are planted firmly on the ground. Your spine is straight but not rigid. Your shoulders are down and back, opening up your chest. Your hands are relaxed, perhaps held gently at your sides or in your lap. This is a posture of quiet confidence and openness. It communicates stability. You are rooted, grounded, and unmovable. Like the mountain, you can feel the winds of their words blow against you, but you are not swayed. You do not need to lean forward aggressively, nor do you need to shrink back defensively. You simply occupy your space with a calm, solid dignity. Your body becomes the physical manifestation of your inner citadel, strong, stable, and at peace. By mastering these 3 physiological elements, the breath, the gaze, and the posture, your silence transforms. It ceases to be an empty space and becomes a powerful, resonant presence that communicates everything you need to say without uttering a single word. The path we have explored is not an easy one. It runs contrary to our deepest instincts and to the constant demands of the world around us. The world will always beckon you to react, to engage, to explain. It will dangle the promise of validation in front of you, hoping you will trade your inner peace for it. The Stoic path is the path of refusal. It is the refusal to be a puppet to circumstance, the refusal to let your inner state be dictated by external events. It is the slow, deliberate work of forging a soul so strong, so centered, and so in command of itself that it becomes a fortress, a sanctuary of peace in a chaotic world. The silence we have discussed is not an absence, it is a presence. It is the presence of mind, the presence of strength, the presence of a person who knows their own worth and does not require a jury of their peers to confirm it. This is the final freedom, not the freedom from being misjudged, for that will surely happen, but the freedom from being disturbed by it. That is a freedom no one can ever take from you. This journey into self-mastery is not meant to be walked alone. It is both a personal battle and a collective strengthening. If this message about inner strength and dignity resonated deep within you, and if you believe this is a philosophy that must be heard in our noisy world, then I ask you to support our community. Like this video to help it reach more minds searching for clarity. Subscribe to our channel, Stoic Journal, to never miss a step on this philosophical path. And share this message with one person you know who needs to hear it today. And now for our reflection. I want you to leave a comment below with a single word that describes what you seek by practicing this silence. It could be peace, strength, clarity, respect. Let us forge a wall of our intentions and witness the power of our focused community. Your journey does not have to end here. On your screen, you will find the next video we have chosen for you. It is there to take you even deeper into the art of Stoic discipline and presence. Click on it and continue your training. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of the Stoic Key.